throughout this process, we've had to become basically lawyers and legal experts on something that has never occurred in any of our lifetimes. So um, we, David has done a great job of interpreting all the governor's orders and kind of how that works for our community. And like I said, we've had to do no enforcement action, so it's worked pretty well. But then as we open, um, there is a lot of gray area in the rules. And for example, what is a gym? That's one of the questions that came up quite a bit. Is a karate studio a gym? Is a gymnastics place a gym? So we get those questions a lot, and we can answer them. So we do have a resource that's available for anybody that has any questions about their particular place of business, or if they just need help trying to understand some of the best ways to prepare for reopening, and that's our helpline. The number is for the helpline is 214-509-4333, and that is staffed from 7 in the morning till 11 o'clock at night. And so any of your questions, really you can ask a question about anything. They love to talk to people, but we have had questions about something they saw on YouTube, and where should I go for testing, and any question related to this. We set up that helpline back in March to be where the questions stopped, because what we found was at the beginning of this, there was so much passing the buck of, well, ask them. And finally, we just said, when they call our helpline, that's when they're going to get an answer. And so they're very good at research. They have a list of all the different testing spots, and they'll be able to help you quite a bit on any questions that you have. One of the things that we do want to talk about is that if a business is going to open, and this I'll turn it over to David, but a lot of times it talks about in the rules about, okay, even though you're open, you still need to have follow CDC recommendations. You need to, best practices for preventing infection. And so what does that mean? So I'll just let Chief Candidate here kind of answer some of those guidelines that the governor is looking for.
Thanks, Chief. I don't know if all of you are aware that Open Texas handbook that Governor Abbott put out, it has an extensive list of particular types of businesses with the actual checklist of the requirements for the employers and the customers or tenants who may be using that facility. I'd be happy to go over with any of those, any business owner that has a question how to interpret those guidelines, or if they have questions about it. I'd be glad to go over it with anyone offline, not to take up everybody's time today, but if you have a question, you can call me directly and we can go over that together.
Yeah, there's, it has specific, guidelines for barbershops and restaurants and just a lot of steps. But, a lot of it does relate back to the three things we talked to, which is, don't come to work if you're sick. Don't, wash your hands and disinfect all the rest of the environment around you. But it does become more specific for if you're a church, if you're, a barbershop, and I'm sure as, we open things like gyms, there'll be rules for those too, which I think those are already in there, right?
Yeah, they are. Gyms are specifically, it has a lot of responsibility for the actual users too, like for the equipment, for instance. They're supposed to wipe it down after each use. So it's going to be hard to actually police for like the gym owners, but a lot of it's going to come down to personal responsibility to help keep each other safe.
So the resources are available. The main thing is just to reach out and ask. We are, use this as a resource to help you have a successful opening or a successful continuation of opening. We've done this a lot lately, and we should be able to help guide everyone through the process. The main thing that, we're really, our number one goal throughout this is to really protect our vulnerable population, which is, our senior population, especially those living in assisted living facilities and nursing homes, because I think we understand the virus is going to, infect, 20, 25 people in the county each day. The main thing is we want to keep that infection out of our assisted living facilities. Now, Alan, the management of those facilities has done a great job. We've only had a couple that have had a few cases in them, but we definitely are fortunate to not have the widespread cases that we've seen in other communities. And I think that's due to the hypervigilance from management of those facilities to keep them clean and safe, and everyone safe in there. So as far as the fire department's concerned, we're actually in a really good position right now. There's been a lot of questions about personal protective gear. We're fortunate enough to kind of be ahead of the game a little on this. And so back in January, we started working on purchasing a lot of equipment. So we've been in a good position for a while. We have been taking donations of like the homemade mask and other donations, because we had, as you know, this community is awesome, and they all reached out and wanted to donate stuff. And so we've actually become kind of the, they can donate it to us, and we'll send it out to hospice workers or home health care workers who are looking for gear. We've even sent some donated materials all the way to Virginia to a nursing home who happened to hear from a friend of a friend that Alan would be able to help them out. And so we've been blessed enough to be able to, kind of spread that out to all of our community, because we understand that, if we're able to protect, all of the different facilities in the community, it protects the community as a whole. But as far as the fire department is concerned, our personnel have plenty of gear. We have yet to have an infection within the fire department, and we hope to keep it that way. We have pretty strict procedures in place on cleaning of the apparatus, cleaning of stations, all of our screening processes for people coming to work. I think the number one thing that's been done at the city level to prevent the spread of the virus, and I think this is a lesson for a lot of other business owners, is that if you feel sick and you need to stay home, that the sick policies are very liberal, so that people don't feel like they're going to lose vacation time or have to cancel a vacation they had planned later in the year. And that's what's really helped, prevent, kind of this desire to go to work even though you may not feel right. But, the other part that I wanted to talk about also is testing. Now, we don't have the drive-through testing that you've seen in some other communities. And honestly, that's because we don't really have the widespread, there's not that many people that want to get tested, because really you can get tested at pretty much any doctor's office or ER in this community. They all have access to the private labs. They can send them off to LabQuest or LabCorp or Quest, and there's others that will do the testing. So if somebody that's looking for testing, they really just need to call their doctor's office. But if they're looking for testing locations specifically, they can also call the helpline, and we have a list of testing facilities there also. There has been questions about the antibody test. There's two types of tests. One is called a RT-PCR, and I'm not going to try to I don't really remember what the abbreviation stands for, but it has something to do with the real-time DNA test. And so that one is the one that goes in your nose. It's actually fairly accurate as far as if it shows a positive, it means you have a positive. The antibody test is only real accurate on the negative. So if it shows negative, that means you have not had the coronavirus. Now, if it shows positive, that doesn't necessarily mean that you've had coronavirus. It probably does, but it also can show a positive for several types of other viruses and some bacterial infections. So when people ask about testing, if they think they have it, if they show symptoms, we always try to steer them away from the antibody test, because it may show a positive and it's really not necessarily the COVID-19 coronavirus. So, all right, well, that's kind of what we got so far. I'd like to hear whatever questions you might have for us.
Okay, now, Can you hear me with this thing on?
Yeah, we can hear you.
Okay, good, because I've never used this before. Anyway, I have unmuted everyone. So if you have any questions or any comments, feel free to ask right now.
A little bit. What's going on?
What's that phone number again?
It's 214-509-4333.
Thank you.
Tracy, are you on there? There you are. Don't you have some access to some hand sanitizers and other things like that at Rexall? That I mean, I shared that with facility managers today. So
gloves. I need disposable gloves.
Neil needs gloves.
All right.
Anybody, any good suggestions on anybody, not just you, Mr. Boyd, but anybody else I've been to every place in town and I can't find any disposable gloves.
Hmm.
I got some on Amazon, Neil. I ordered a
Okay.
couple boxes.
I'll try that.
Oh, we're not, Tracy, we're not hearing you. Try now.
Can you hear me now?
Yes.
Oh, yes, we do have them in stock. They are pretty pricey, I have to say. The first batch we were able to get them in for a much lower price, but once the manufacturer really got us on the second round. So we're selling them at the same cost we're paying for them and what we're charging the employees and our electrical contractors and electricians. But they are more expensive. But we have them in stock. Yes.
And this is Rexall?
This is Rexall. We're the electrical supply house here in Allen.
Best thing would just be come by the warehouse.
Yes, you can call. Yes, you just call, or we have the curbside pickup. So you just call when you get to the door, and we do it without any touching. We put it on the cart and kind of throw it out at you.
Anybody else have any comments or questions?
Chief,
Yes, sir.
my name's Derek Wade. Hi. What's your thoughts on pool openings?
Well, pools, I'll let Chief Kennedy answer this.
The question is pool openings.
Yes, sir.
They are going to be allowed on the 18th, isn't it? I believe.
Yeah.
At 25% capacity, and that capacity is determined about how many actual people can be in the pool and on the pool deck area. So depending on the size of that will be how the number is determined.
Yeah. Thank you, sir.
And I just wanted to let everyone on the call know that the Open Texas Handbook, we posted that on our Facebook page. And I think it's on our website. If not, it will be there today. And I will repost it when this meeting is over. It's a link to it from the governor's office. That way you have access to it very easily. So if no one else has any other comments or questions, then we'll let you guys get back to work with our greatest appreciation for you taking time out to share this information with us. And we got the hotline. We're going to post that as well in case anybody else out there has questions and they know where to go. So thank you again for joining us. It was great seeing you at a distance.
Yeah. Thanks for having
me. See you in person soon.
Yes. All right. Well, thank you. I mean, I do want to say that none of this would have been possible without the support of our community. I mean, if there's anything that's come out of this, it's just how incredible this community is and how great of a job of everyone from the business community, from the residents to everyone that has done about kind of joining together and finding a way to get through this together. And I think that is, I think when we look back on this and tell people about it. That's what we'll talk about because, we all have had our differences, but in Allen especially in this area, I think there has been the care for each other has been the number one priority. And I've been very impressed with that. And I think that's why this area, the Allen area has the lowest infection rate of any community in Collin County. And it's the reason why we have 0 fatalities right now. And so, I expect that, it wouldn't surprise me if that changed, unfortunately, but it is unusual. And I think I know why it's happening. It's because of the people that live and work here really care for each other. And so I've been very inspired by that. So that's my opportunity to say thank you.
Well, and I agree with you 100%. We get lots of emails, lots of calls from members who are anxious about the economy and about their business, but they're also complying with the rules, regulations, and they're not complaining. They're just asking, when can we do this? And they understand. And I too am very appreciative of that. I'm appreciative of the leadership within the city and within your department as well. So thank you very much for joining us, and you guys have a great day.
Thank
Stay
you.
Thank you so
everybody.
much. Thank you.
Thank you so much.
Thanks for your time today.
Thanks.